So I'm going to do this video on why I suck, or to be more succinct, why inking is important and some common mistakes that you can avoid, hopefully, when you're inking. What we have here are two images drawn on the same basic skeleton. Both of these figures were drawn from the same rough sketch and built up on top. I did this one first, and the one on the left I did second. And you can see why I did the one on the left, because the one on the right sucks. And I'm going to tell you why it sucks. First of all, let's zoom in a little bit closer here so you can kind of get an idea of what we're talking about with this unfortunate gentleman. One of the first things you want to be careful of when you're inking is that you don't do too much. Look at all these little cross-hatchy lines that you've got going on in here, in the shirt, in the hair, in the face. Look at all these little bitty teeny lines in the hair and the cross-hatching here. The problem is that all of these lines are not doing anything. They don't support anything. They're not structural in any way, and all they do is muddy it up. Let's compare like this region here in the shirt to the same region in the good version, where you've got a nice clean white break. You've got the solid black line here with a little bit of in-cutting versus all of this little cross-hatching you have going on over here in the white part of the bad drawing. This one is a lot more structural. It's a lot better supported. You can tell there's a mass behind that. This just looks smeared. The lines going on in here make it all look flat and not multi-dimensional. It's even worse in the face. I think if you zoom into the face here, you can really see what I'm talking about. There's just way too much going on with all this cross-hatching, and you've got these little bitty noodly lines in the cheekbones and in the eye. Of course, the eye's also way too big. And then you've got these heavy black line outlining it with the little bitty hair lines that come in the middle. There's just too much going on, too much line work. Versus the nice clean version of the toonier looking version over here, where there's a lot more white space, a lot more structural support from the lines that are there. When you're inking, it's important that every line have a purpose and have a reason for being there. Otherwise, it just starts to look muddy and confused. It's also important to kind of plan your blacks, where they go and where the other elements of the illustration go, and where you think those lines will lead the eye of the viewer. Looking at the figure on the right, you've got the black line that sort of leads your eye up over in here, and then it kind of escapes through that point of the elbow. Even if it doesn't, it comes going around the figure, and then the dagger leads you right out of the drawing. Same kind of thing over here. The dagger just is an escape point. It draws your eyes up, and there's nothing really to see here, so the viewer's eye just sort of escapes from the illustration altogether. It's just as bad on the back side, where you come over here, and because the belt is white, there's nothing to really stop you, and the eye just sort of leaks out the bottom of the illustration, and you've lost the viewer. All the little cross-hatching lines also don't give you any place for your eye to rest or get stopped while you're looking at it. It just sort of slides off like one big mass of ice or stone, where there's just no place where you can rest and get caught. As opposed to the good version on the left, where the viewer's eye comes around here, it rounds the elbow, and instead of getting shot off from the dagger, you've got a nice rounded hilt that then kind of brings your eye back around and leads you over here. Now you kind of have the issue of where the sword also points out, but at least it's a dynamic line. It's not an escaping line that goes off. You're being brought back into the figure itself. Similarly on the back side, because you've got a black belt here, your eye stops and gets a nice base for the figure to sit on instead of the wide open white over here. Plus, inside the figure, you've got this white area for the arms and the face and the sword, where your eye can kind of rest. It's well supported by the black. And you've got these nice solid black areas that surround the face, for instance, here, here, and here, even down in here a little bit. So this sort of now becomes a central focus that's framed, versus this drawing where you've got it only on that side and you're dumped in here. You're dumped in with this little captured white space there. The top not having any hair, your eye just gets out that way. The face isn't framed like it is over here. That's all I really wanted to say about this one. Just, you really have to be careful when you're inking that you know what you're doing. You think about where the viewer's eye is going to go, and every line that you put down should have a purpose.